Excuse me. What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be your review of Power. Season 6, episode 10. It is the mid-season finale of the final season. Whatever. It'll be back after the holidays. I guess they don't want to compete with the holidays and all that good stuff. So, it'll be back after the holidays. So, we had a little bit of an extended episode. And in this episode, it's funny because a lot of things, if y'all went and listened to the podcast, a lot of things that we discussed in the podcast kind of came up in this episode. And some other things that I just been saying kind of came up in this episode. So, we start off with, and we have a good old-fashioned, we have a good old-fashioned ending a la Dallas in the 1980s, but we'll get to that. So, we start this episode off with Ghost, in his, suite at the St. James, king of the world. He gets a phone call from Ramona. She's like, turn on the TV. And he's on the local news, or probably national news, that he's, rumors, sources say that he's going to be picked to be the lieutenant governor and that he's left Tate's campaign. And, of course, Ghost is like, okay, all right. Yeah. Then we get over to Sax, who done slid his way back into the building, and his boss is like, you don't get enough. Like, you don't understand that you about to go to jail. Why are you still in this building? And he is convincing him. He's being real obvious. Like, he's not even being slick with it. He's being real obvious. You need to search St. James's apartment. You need to search his hotel room. You need to search it. He killed Keisha. He was like, why would he kill Keisha? Like, the boss probably has the most sense out of all of them in that building. Unfortunately, it didn't help in the end. But he really was like, it doesn't make sense for him to kill Keisha. It didn't make sense. He's going through this whole thing. Well, he killed Terry Silver. And, well, how do you know? How do you know he killed Terry Silver? What do you even know about the Terry Silver case? He's like, that was his lawyer. Well, he was having an affair with his wife. Like, he's giving, and he's like, so you need to go search his apartment. You need to go search it. And he was like, not only are we not going to search it, you about to get up out of here in handcuffs. And however you got into this building, you leave your badge, you leave everything this time. Which, that's unrealistic, because it ain't no way in hell you're going to work for a federal agency and you get walked out the building and they forget to deactivate. Let me tell you something. I didn't work that job that I voluntarily quit. And my email was inactive 5 minutes after I left my last day. Please no. Please, ain't no child. Anyway, that's minor, but we going, So then we see St. James, Ramona, and the governor lady he running with. They're having lunch. And again, they're addressing the conversation. This is lunch. This scene, if they had shown this scene last week, I probably wouldn't have had as much to say about the whole lieutenant governor piece of it, because they're addressing his past. And they're having a strategy session, and they're talking about how they can spin it, how they can make it look good, how they can make it work towards, for the greater good of the campaign. Then she says, what's up with the Queen's Child Project? And he lets them know that he sort of hit a little roadblock, and she tells them point blank, look, the only reason why you here is because of what you're going to give me in the community, and the Queen's Bridge Project, or Queen's Child Project, whatever the hell it's called, is a major part of that. So if you can't deliver it, then I'm going to just go call Tate and let Tate be my running mate. And Ghost was like, she can do that? And I'm like, they do it all the time. Your running mates, I mean, look at Obama, Hillary Clinton. Like, it happens all the time. Biden, I'm going to say Biden and Obama, but it happens all the time. So yeah, she would pick up Tate, because then she would pick up Tate's votes. Duh. So Ramona lets Ghost know, look, you need to work this out. Like, do you have something? Ghost's like, I think I got something. I think I know what I can do. So in this episode, we start to get a little bit about Ghost's past. We see him call Tariq and tell Tariq, look, son, me and you need to talk. There's some conversations that we need to have. There's some things I need to explain to you, which again, I say probably too little too late. That might have been the conversation. If you had this conversation, whatever it is you want to say to him, when you first started seeing some things in your son, you might have wanted to have that conversation with him. When you knew that he had been influenced by Keenan, you might wanted to have that conversation with him. When you knew that he was starting to turn dark, that's when... Now he's gone. There's nothing you can say to him, Ghost. Nothing. I don't care what it is that you got to talk to him about. There's nothing you can say to that boy. Nothing. If he ever comes back around, it's going to be because he chose to come back around. But it will never be because of anything you did or said. We see Ghost rolling into this bar, like this little night, you know, this little, like, it looked like a little, you know, blues bar. They got a poster of my girl Phyllis Hyman. Ooh, that was my girl. And he basically, he's like, you know, you still got an apartment and everything upstairs, like this, you still own the building? He was like, yeah. And it's my man Glenn Thurman, and he says, you know, what if I make an offer for the, you know, building for you? They get to talking. Basically, he offers to buy the building, and he said no. He said, I could never leave and let this place close. And Ghost says, what if I told you that I would turn this into a place where children who have a love for the arts can come and get training and practice and you know, all of that, and perform right there on that stage. So he says to him, somehow or another, I'm trying to remember now, I don't remember how they did it, but anyway, somehow or another, he lets Ghost know that he knows who he is. And he was like, you recognize me? He said, I knew who you were as soon as you walked in the door. He said, I haven't seen you since your father died. He said, why did you leave? And he said, you know, I just had to go. I just had some things I had to do. And they got to talking. And what we find out is that Ghost's dad owned this bar with Glenn Thurman's character, that they owned the bar together. They were getting shook down by some local drug dealers. And the father, Ghost's father, decided to go to the police and report it. And, you know, Glenn Thurman's character was like, I told him not to do it. I told him those were some bad guys, not to mess with them, to just go ahead and pay them or do what we were going to do, but do not bring the police involve the police. He did. And the guys, that's how Ghost's dad was killed. And Ghost went on to say, you know, he was like, your father will be proud of you. He said, maybe. And so Ghost was like, maybe not everything, but proud of me now. And again, we're seeing Ghost making this transition into being legit, which is all he's ever wanted from the beginning of this show, is to just be legit. But he agrees to sell him the property, and now he's going to make that property into what the Queensbridge project is. So then we see Blanca down to the office, and the boss is like, you know, Sax was up here, you know, tripping. Like, he was like, if you see him, just shoot him on sight. Like, I don't even want him in this building. Like, I don't want him sniffing this building. So she starts basically spinning about St. James being, you know, killing this person and killing that person, and we need to get evidence. I need to get a warrant. And he was like, you don't have enough for a warrant. Like, what do you have? So she starts talking about Terry Silver, and the dirt from Terry Silver's car matched the dirt from the Queens project. And he was like, okay, that's like, do you know when the dirt got there? Like, how do you know that Terry Silver was never at that site? Like, how do you know? Like, that's not evidence. So then she said, well, his wife told us where the body was. And he was like, well, that implicates her. That don't implicate St. James. Like, that implicates her, not the husband, which is what somebody said on the podcast last week. Like, all roads lead back to her, not James. So she's just grasping at straws. And he told her, he was like, you do not have enough for a warrant. And he said, I mean, but if you think you can get a judge to get a look only, I guess they call it, I forgot what they call it, but basically all she could do was look. No, he told her you didn't have enough evidence. That's what it was. He told it. So, and he said, and you're starting to sound like Sax, and that's not a compliment. So the next thing we see is her and Sax go down to Tate's office. And Sax is like, look, Tate done lost everything. Jamie took it from him, or James took it from him. He's right for the picking. He's right for the picking. So they go to Tate to talk to Tate. And at first he was like, look, I ain't trying to talk to y'all. Like, if y'all reporters, step on. They were like, we're not reporters. We're from the FBI. We're on the special task force trying to basically get some information on James St. Clair. I mean, y'all know ghost shit. And we just wanted to talk to you. So, of course, Tate was like, oh, my lucky day. So he was like, how can I help you? So In the beginning, Tate was being honest. I mean, with a little bit of shade, but he wasn't outright just lying. But then they got to, basically, you know, they were telling him what they were trying to do. So then they got to the part where they were like, so, did you know that Terry Silver and Ghost's wife were having an affair? And Saxe was like, let me be clear with you. Let me tell you. Because at first he was like, no, I ain't know nothing about it. He was like, well, let me ask you again. He said, and let me be clear. If you say yes, and you make the connection between give us a motive for Ghost, and you're willing to swear it, Ghost goes to jail, and you don't even have to worry about him no more. And so, of course, Tate was like, you know, he perked up and was like, oh, really? He said, well, you know, now that you mention it, he did say something to me about, you know, his wife having an affair. And Blanca, of course, was not feeling it. She was like, yo, that's why your ass ain't got no job now, and now you trying to take me out because I can't suborn perjury. But she does it anyway. She ends up taking it to the judge and gets a look-only warrant. It has a different name, but basically all they can do is look to see what they see and take pictures, but they are not supposed to take anything from the scene. So we see Ghost down there with Simon. You know, his ace in the hole, Simon. Simon gives him the money to buy that building, to buy the club and everything. And Simon's thing basically was, look, just make sure you remember who your friends are when you get down there to Albany. So we got that. Ghost is on his way back to the apartment, feeling like he's on top of the world. I mean, his suite, whatever. Feeling like he's on top of the world, honey. And somebody's following Ghost. We never quite see who it is, but somebody is following Ghost. He sets up a little meetup with Ramona, and next thing you know, who's there visiting him? Valdez. And basically Valdez is like, I'm glad to see that you've become the man I always knew you could be, but you know that this would have never worked if I was still alive. I know too much about you. I know too much of your past. It never would have worked. She said, but I tell you what, you don't tell Ramona everything. And he was like, oh, Ramona, she could never replace you. I could never love her more than I love you. She said, whatever. I ain't tripping off that. You go find love again. I'm dead. Go on and find love again. I'm just telling you, though, don't tell her too much because she can't handle it. She not from the neighborhood. She doesn't understand. She can't handle it. And they sort of say goodbye. She basically gives him her blessing to move on. That's pretty much what that was. So then we see Ghost and Ramona. He tells her that he got the secure the spot for the project. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's great. So then she kisses him. And this is where it got weird. She kissed him. And then she was like, oh, I'm sorry I did that. And he was like, no, I've been wanting to do that for a long time. It's okay. She was like, yeah, me too. And then she sort of like changes the subject and starts talking about making phone calls and setting up this and setting up that, like the press conference and stuff. And I was like, so are you trying to get with the man or not? Because you've been flirting with the man all this time, and now you backing up like you scared to go ahead and cross the line. Like, I don't know. It's almost like you wanted it till you got it, and now you don't know what to do with it. But anyway. And it was sort of like that the rest of the episode. Like, I just didn't feel no chemistry with them. And I don't know if it was meant to be that way or if that's just how I interpreted it. But I just didn't feel the chemistry. So we see Ghost have the press conference. And, of course, he says the speech and says all the right things. Who's in the back lurking? Tommy. So when he gets done with his speech, Tommy says, look, man, you need to meet. We need to talk. So, once again, somebody is following Ghost. We see Ghost at the cemetery telling his daughter, look, I'm sorry Daddy ain't been here, but I did what I said I was going to do. That I'm starting this place just for you, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, Tasha shows up. He like, what you doing here? She was like, I'm here every week. What you doing here? I said, well. And they get to talking, and he tells her, look, he basically says, look, I'm releasing you. You're good. I'm releasing you. I'm moving on. She was like, yeah, I know, Ramona. He was like, yeah, I'm moving on. And so I'm good. mind you, you know, it's okay that I killed, you know, the dude you was happy with, but I'm happy now, so you can move on. And she said, yeah, I hear, Lieutenant Governor. And she was like, she said, do you understand how dumb that is? Like, you are opening everybody in the world up to basically research, dig into our past and see what's really good. And he was like, I passed the background check. But my thing is, you might have passed the background check that the DNC did, but what about an investigative reporter who really wants to get, you know, wants to figure it all out and connect all the dots and just really get down and dirty into your background? But whatever. We supposed to just believe that he passed the background check and everything is good. And he was like, well, you know, you and your little drug dealing daycare, you know, you're going to have to shut that down and go legit. Like, what's up? And so, you know, Ghost is legit now. And it's almost like, as you see the episode go on, you see him pretty much piss off and alienate everybody. Ghost has always been arrogant. Ghost has always been that like been a jerk. But it's sort of been with a little bit of charm attached to it. So people sort of kind of let it go. But in this episode, there was no charm. He was just asshole. You know what I mean? And so they have their little moment at the cemetery, honey. And she sort of, you see her face kind of crack a little bit, but it is what it is, child. It is what it is. So then we see that they do go into, she got her little warrant. They went into the hotel room. They found the soil sample. They also found the phone that had been planted. She takes all that back to her boss, and he's like, you mean to tell me that this criminal mastermind that y'all want me to believe he is left a cell phone for the person that nobody even knew was dead in his hotel room? Like, why did he even have it? Why was it there? He said, and that's exactly, he said, and that's what Sachs wanted me to find. He said, so he made the connection that Sachs had planted that phone there. He didn't know how Sachs how Sachs got the phone, but he made that connection. And he's telling Blanca, look, you need to tread lightly, because you really starting to sound like Sachs, and that is not a compliment. You need to tread lightly. Now, he said, now, if you want to take all this to a judge and you think a judge is going to give you a warrant, I mean, you do what you do. So they did. They went to the judge. They presented all of their evidence. Rewind. I'm jumping ahead of myself. So, yeah. So that's the conversation that they had. See, I'm about to go too far. So then Tate comes to St. James, Ghost. And he's actually getting ready to warn Ghost about what's going on, about them sniffing around. But Ghost's arrogant ass cut him off. He tried to tell him twice. He cut him off both times, and then he started talking to him about how you're a loser and I'm a winner, and I'm going to always come out on top because people like me always win, and you're just a loser. Now, if you want to come to my victory celebration party, sure, come on through. I'll tell you how a real winner is. I mean, he dug deep. Now, don't get me wrong. Tate's been a real asshole, and he's been an asshole to Ghost. But when I say I felt bad for Tate, by the time Ghost got done with him, I said, damn. Like, he dug deep. Then he gets a text from Tariq. Tariq saying, look, I got your message, Dad. Meet me. You know, I'll meet up with you. So he meets up with Tariq. Tariq is there with Dre. And again, I said, I knew that Tariq had no good intention. I didn't know why he wanted to meet with him, but I knew it was no good intention attached to it. Who was it? Come rolling up? Dre. And he was like, why would you bring my enemy here? Like, what is wrong with you, son? Why are you bringing my enemy into my house? He was like, look, he know all my secrets. He said he needed to see you. Here we go. And he was like, oh, are you shocked to see me? You thought I was in jail, huh? He said, so you tried to set me up and you failed. So what you getting ready to do, you getting ready to give me some money so I can get out of town. Ghost was like, all right, it's 250 good. He was like, well, how do you know you're not going to double cross me? Ghost was like, I guess you don't. Meet me in an hour, and I'll have your money. So Dre is like, he don't know whether he could trust Ghost or not, but at that point, he really doesn't have much of a choice. And Ghost is looking at Tariq like, you know, you little traitor, you done brought this dude up in here like you didn't know if he was coming to kill me or whatever. But once again, I say to Ghost, at what point are you going to get it? This dude he's your child, but he don't fuck with you. So, Um, then we see Ghost roll up on Vincent. And, you know, Vincent was like, this probably ain't your best move right now. Like, why are you rolling up on me? And Ghost was like, look, you know, you stuck, you know, what you did to my son, you supposed to be dead right now. So he ends up telling Vincent, look, I need a favor. Vincent was like, what's up? He's like, you still got a pipeline on the inside. He was like, I need to get a burner to somebody. So he ends up sending a cell phone to Spanky and 2-Bit, which are in the same cell. Now, when I worked in juvenile detention, they ain't keep them in the same cell. If they were on the same charges, they were not in this. They weren't even in this. Well, they weren't in the same cell. But anyway, it's whatever. In the meantime, because I missed this part, Tommy and Ghost meet up. And basically, they have the same conversation that they had in season 1, where Ghost is like, I'm leaving you, I'm going legit. And Tommy is like, well, what are you leaving me with? I have nothing. If you leave me, I have nothing. And Ghost is like, I mean, you had the opportunity to come with me. You ain't want to go legit. You wanted this life. So here, you got it. But I'm leaving. And I'm leaving you, and I'm leaving everything behind. Like, I'm done. And once again, you see Ghost got real nasty and raw. Now, I don't blame him, because Tommy wants to kill him. But at the end of the day, he basically laid it out on the line and told him, like, look, you know, I'm this, you're nothing. I'm moving on. You gonna stay down here in the gutter, and you don't have nobody to blame but yourself. And Tommy, you know, and Ghost was like, look, at this point, I don't know if you're gonna let me walk out of here or not. But at the end of the day, you know, it is what it is. That's not gonna change anything. So Ghost tries to walk away, and Tommy pulls a gun on him, and they, you know, he's like, I ain't got nothing. You gonna leave me? I got nothing. Now, while they arguing, somebody takes a shot at them. And they end up in a shootout, you know, and of course, you know, they on the same page then because they in the middle of a shootout. Somewhere in the middle of the shootout, Tommy rolls out. Because I didn't know Tommy had got shot. I didn't know what happened, but Tommy disappeared and left Ghost. Ghost ends up killing, now it had to be at least more than one shooter, but Ghost ends up killing somebody, or somebody ended up getting killed. I don't know. And they showed the person, it was a black guy, but I didn't recognize him, so I don't know who he's working for. I don't know if he's the same people that's following him. Like, I don't know these people. But they dead. Now, Ghost done killed somebody else. Trying to go legit. He's still killing people. So, they done rounded Sax up. And he done picked up old girl as his attorney. You know, the girl that used to be his boss. And she in the corporate world now, honey. And she making that corporate money and got herself a new weave, okay? And, they basically about to run Sax up. They were like, look, you going out of here in handcuffs. Like, it is what it is. You know, you've done this, you've done that, you've done that. And that's when Blanca confesses that he was with her with the Terry Silver thing. And, you know, because he tells them information that only somebody who was at that crime scene would know. And so Blanca sort of has to confess that he was there. And that's how he got that information. She was like, you played me. And her boss was like, no, you played yourself. Now, I'm expecting her to get fired, right? He was like, nah, you played yourself. And Sax is trying to leverage the information that he has against him basically not going to jail. He was like, look, at the end of the day, if James goes to jail, St. goes to jail, then all is fair in love and war, right? But then the lawyer lays it out for him and says, look, you can charge Sax, but what's the bigger collar here? You getting Sax off the street, or you getting St. Patrick, the potential next lieutenant governor, off the street? Like, which one is gonna make your career? Him or him? And you see the boss is like, his, you know, wheels are turning. He ain't really trying to, because he can't stand Sax. I mean, he wants to see Sax go to jail. But at the end of the day, you know, he says, he sort of makes the decision, all right, you know, go ahead. And that's when that's the part where they end up going to the judge to get the arrest warrant. And they present the judge with the phone, with all the evidence that they have, and the phone. But the judge still denies it, which I found interesting. He still denied the arrest warrant. In the meantime, Ghostin set Andre up. He told Andre where to meet him, but then told the security guard from the building, go ahead and send that footage of Dre going into the building behind Jason. And I'm feeling like he must have edited the video. But he was like, go ahead and send that video to the police. And Dre ends up getting arrested. Because while he's waiting on St. Patrick, the police roll up on him. Because, of course, he probably done called in another tip as to where they could find Dre. He goes back to Truth, and who's waiting for him but Angela's sister. And she's like, look, I know you didn't kill Angela. You know, I saw the autopsy. I know it wasn't you. She was like, well, tell me who did. And it was almost like the way she was talking to him sounded like she was wearing a wire. Like the way she was talking and the questions she was asking sounded like she was trying to set him up. And Ramona is in the back listening, and, you know, they basically talking about how much he loved Angela and how he would never do that to her. And, you know, he never meant to bring her any harm, and he's so sorry. And the sister was like, well, look, tell me who killed my sister. And he was like, I don't know. If I knew, I would tell you. I don't know. And of course, the sister don't believe him. So she was basically like, screw you. This is it. I'm never coming through here again. I'm never talking to you again. So she ends up leaving. Ramona lets him know that she overheard the conversation. And she was like, look, I don't have any interest in competing with a ghost. Like, I don't know if you can give me what I need. I got issues. You got issues. I don't know if this is going to work. And he tells her, look, yeah, I loved her, but I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to move on. And they sort of have a moment. And again, it's awkward. Like, it's awkward. Like, I'm waiting for this big love sex scene with them. I'm ready for them to get it in. And nothing. It's flat. So then we see Tasha meet up with, now this is where the whole episode went left for me, y'all. And I'm sorry, we already 27 minutes in. But this is where the whole damn thing went left. They're at the penthouse doing a walkthrough. I guess they're moving out and they're splitting up. They're selling it, whatever. But they're doing their walkthrough to make sure that I guess the work that was done is good. And of course, him and Tasha end up getting into an argument and arguing about him going legit. And somewhere in this argument, so then she says, well, you know Tariq is in real trouble right now with the feds over Ray Ray's murder. I guess she's thinking back to last week when they threatened her with that. So he was like, no, I didn't know what's going on. And she was like, you know what's going on. You know that, you know, Tariq could go to jail or whatever. And so he said, I would never, she said, you might, basically she was like, you know, they told me that you were getting ready to turn them in. He was like, I would never turn them in. Like, you know, I would never do that. She was like, I don't know what you would do. I don't know anything. And then Ghost says, well, maybe he should turn himself in. Maybe he should have to deal with the consequences of his actions. And I'm in a great position right now. The most he'll do is a couple of months at a military camp. And then he can come back, go back to school, and move on with his life without having this over his head. Now, I don't know how the hell we jumped from A to Z. I don't know how we jumped from the feds are coming to get him to maybe he should confess. Now, So, of course, you know, Tasha ain't trying to hear that. And, of course, they go back and forth. And he's like, look, I can take care of it. I just, you know, I want him to have a future. I want him to be able to, you know, do all these great things. You know that that's what I want for him. But as long as it's hanging over his head, he's not going to be able to move on. Tell him, you know, turn himself in. I got his back. We'll get him the best lawyers. He's not 18. He'll get off with a slap on the wrist. It's, you know, he killed the person that killed his sister. And I'm thinking to myself, classic first-degree murder, premeditation, revenge. What the hell is wrong with you? I just didn't understand how we got to Tariq should turn himself in. And then he says, tell him to call me. I'll talk to him about it. What? The Tariq that if he saw you laying on the ground, he'd spit on you. Like, that same Tariq you think is really about to... Child, I was done. This whole part of the storyline, I didn't get it. And maybe some other people will be able to explain it to me better. But this, it didn't make no sense to me. So, then he ends up going into Raina's bedroom. And Raina comes to him. He saw all kinds of ghosts this episode. Then Raina comes to him. And basically, Raina told him, like, look, I died because I lied and I got caught up in something that I shouldn't have got caught up in, and I got what I deserve. It's not your fault. Don't feel any guilt. It's not mom's fault. It's nobody's fault. It's what it is what it is. That's just how the game goes. And, you know, he's fussing at her about lying and stuff like that. And she was like, well, I learned how to lie from you. You and mom. Like, y'all always lied to us. Y'all taught us how to lie. That's all it was one big lie in this house. And, of course, he's sitting there now he looking stupid and crazy again because he's sitting there like, huh, okay. But, of course, she sort of absolves him of the guilt of whatever guilt he might have felt. From her murder or what have you. So he's seeing all these ghosts that I guess are absolving him so he can move into his new life. So Tariq rolls up and he's talking to Tariq about confessing. And yeah, I mean, I don't even need to go into how that conversation went. But what I found very interesting in that conversation though was now Tariq want to bring up, you said you would never do that. You said you would take the blame for me. You said you would do this. You said you would do that. So the same dude that you've been cussing out and treating like shit is the same dude that you think or you've been relying on to take the blame for you for a murder? Like, maybe you should have been a little nicer to him if you thought that he had your whole card. Like, I was just like, both of y'all are crazy in this scene because Tariq is pissed. Oh, I mean, I don't even need to go into how deep. He's pissed off. Ghost is trying to convince him that this is the best thing to do and that he would have his back. And he was like, but no, you lied to me because you said you would take this hit for me. Well, that was a different space and a different time. And now, you know, we're going to do this and the other. That's a better option. That's a better idea. And, you know, of course, Tariq ends up leaving, honey. But I really think that Ghost thought that he convinced Tariq to do it. You really thought that you convinced this boy to take... Child. But anyway, he ends up leaving, but he's pissed. I mean, he's pissed. And of course, you know, he tells him, you ain't shit. You ain't never been shit. Blah, blah, blah. Blanca has to tell everybody that they didn't get the warrant. You see her talking to the sister. You see her talking to Tate. You see her talking to somebody else about them not being able to get this warrant to arrest James. Now, James is having Ghost is having his big party that night at Truth. This is the first time we'd have seen Truth open in about 6 months. But they're having his celebration party down to Truth about his announcement. So we see him, I think I already said this part, but we see him talking to Spanky in a little bit. He got the phone to them and he says, look, I need a favor. He was like, I ain't talking to you. You know, your boy ratted us out. Again, they still think Tommy ratted on them, but whatever. He was like, that's your day one. They ain't got nothing to do with me. He was like, man, forget Tommy. He was like, exactly. So look, I need a favor. Now, he never says what it is that he needs, but he tells whatever it is. I'm sure he wants to put a hit out on Dre. That's the only thing I could think of is that he wants them to kill Dre. Because he said, what can they do for him behind bars? So we're down to the party with Truth. We see him and Ramona's like, look, maybe we should keep our relationship under wraps for right now until everything is over. And he was like, I ain't keeping no secrets. And he ends up kissing her right there in the middle of the floor. And she was like, well, I guess everybody knows now. He was like, yeah, everybody knows now. Now, while all of this is going on, Blanca's talking to Dre. She gets Dre to lie and say that he saw Ghost kill Terry Silver. He ain't know nothing about Terry Silver. He didn't even know where it took place. She had to coach him on where it took place. But this is how desperate she has gotten now. She done turned into another Sax. He said, look, I will tell you whatever if you'll get me out of here. If it's going to get me out of here, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. So she gets him to sign an affidavit saying that he saw Ghost kill Terry Silver. Now she can get the arrest warrant. So from this point on, all we see is all of Ghost's enemies dressed in black walking somewhere. We see Tariq coming up off the subway in black. We see Tate walking with a hoodie on, throwing his hoodie on in black. We see Tommy, who disappeared during the shootout, but we see Tommy walking down the street in black. Hell, we even see Tasha. We see Angela's sister, she got a gun. And all of them, I'm assuming, are heading to Truth. Now, while we see them walking towards Truth, we see Ghost inside of Truth closing up. You know, Ramona was like, you want me to wait? And he was like, I got a few things to do here. And then, then it's me and you, girl. Shutting down the bar, turning off the lights. And then we see him standing in the overlook. That, that little, like, bridge that overlooks the club. He's standing there, and, of course, he's like, I'm on top of the world. Nothing can stop me. I did it. I'm legit now. I'm the shit. Next thing you know, we see Ghost falling. We hear a gunshot. Blanca is in the car with the arrest warrant, ready to go arrest Ghost. And then we hear the gunshot. I forgot. I don't know if this is important or not, but Tariq did come to the party, and he asked Ghost one last time, so you really want me to turn myself in? And he's like, yeah, son, I got you. I'll be there with you. Tariq was like, all right. So anyway, now I've been telling y'all from the beginning that I think Tariq was going to kill Ghost. But they show all of his enemies, that he had made coming to get him. I don't think it's going to be anybody we saw. I think it's going to be whoever that is that's been following him. And I think it goes back to Blaze, because Tariq asked Ghost about Blaze in this episode. Why did you kill Blaze? And Tariq, I forgot that conversation, my bad. And Ghost explained to him why he did it. So they brought Blaze back up for a reason. I think it's either Blaze or somebody connected to Blaze, honey. Oh, and Sax. Sax was one of the people coming after Ghost, too, because his lawyer told him, look, they ain't get the arrest warrant. You going to jail. I told him that, you could turn yourself in tomorrow. And when they first showed Sax with the gun, I thought he was going to kill himself. But he didn't. So he one of the people that's coming up on Ghost as well. And then it ended with basically who shot JR. Now, I paid attention to the fact that they said who shot, not who killed. So now we got to figure out who shot Ghost, not who killed Ghost. Even though it did look like the bullet was right there in his heart. So I don't know if Ghost is dead or not, but we'll find out January 5th, honey, when it comes back. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace. My bad. I forgot. This was so much going on. There was a scene between Ghost and Keenan. That was another Ghost that he saw. Was Keenan came, and Keenan was trying to tell him, look, you just as dirty as me. You supposed to be in jail just like I was in jail. You ain't no better than me. And Ghost was like, no. I was, you made me that killer. If I'd grown up somewhere different, in a different environment, I would still be where I am today. He said, I just took the detour. I'm where I've always supposed to be. And again, like I said, once again, it was one of those conversations that they had in this episode that just, Ghost is just so nasty and just so, F y'all. I'm so much better than y'all. You know what I'm saying? And he even told Keenan that he got his son back. I don't know what makes him think he has his son. Tariq. Anyway, so my bad, y'all. I had to add that little addendum. All right, let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.